Next on stage we have Pierre-Nicolas. He's head of big data at RTBF. He's also a market researcher at ULB, and he founded his own market research agency, Into the Minds. Obviously, he has a passion for data and consumer behavior, and he will explain us now why we desperately need ethical algorithms.
Thank you so much for being there. Good morning, everyone. I feel very fortunate, very happy to be there today to talk about data for good, ethical things, but at the same time I also feel pretty disappointed that we talk about that only now. At my work at RTBF, I have been working on recommender systems for 2 years, and recommender systems are not new. They have been existing for 25 years, since 1992 actually. And it took us like 25 years to talk about ethics. So disappointed, but well, there is hope, and that's what I can show, what I want to show today. Well, first of all, I think that all the cowboy behaviors that we have seen, that we have witnessed in the past years must end. What you have seen, for instance, is Uber charging you more when your battery is low. It's Orbitz proposing more expensive travels when you use a Macintosh, or another scandal that popped up last year in 2016, all the French universities that used a biased algorithm to select students. In short, that algorithm was manipulated by deans to select, to accept, or to reject the students that they didn't want in their university. So I don't think that's pretty fair. And those algorithms are absolutely crucial if we want to build trust. They can also, well, destroy the trust that people have in us. Trust at RTBF, the public broadcasting organization in Belgium, is crucial. Why is it crucial? Well, as you can see on the slide here, we are losing the trust of our audiences. We are losing the trust of our users. The trust has never been so low, and it's been especially low in social media and in online news. Actually, we hit in 2017 an all-time low, 26%, so it means that 74% of users consuming news from internet are not trusting, well, online media. And yet, the paradox is that most younger people are consuming news online. So how do we reconcile all that? Well, obviously, in an online environment, you know that algorithms do play a role, and there's been a survey last year by Reuters showing that there are actually 3 problems of algorithms in building or destroying trust. The first one is that people are, well, they feel scared that they are missing some key information. They feel scared that alternative viewpoints may be absent. So I'm not talking about alternative facts, but really alternative viewpoints or real facts. And they are also obviously worried about the privacy being threatened. If you think that algorithms are neutral, and that's something that Philippe Martens this morning said, well, I think that you are wrong. Algorithms are never neutral. They reflect a person or a group of persons' biases. They reflect a vision, the vision of an entity, the vision of a company. And there is no such thing as a neutral algorithm. Actually, algorithms are far from being neutral because they are using data out of their production context. So you think that your algorithms are neutral because you are using a lot of data, but that data you don't understand fully because it has been produced in a context and you cannot link the production of that data to the very context. And last but not least, the automatic treatment of the data can lead to some ethical problems. And I just showed you here on the slide one, well, very known problem of Google tagging black people as gorillas. Yeah. And well, I think that's not something which is very fair. So 2 types of algorithmic threats, in my opinion. The first one due to technical limitations. We have talked about the racist chatbots. We have talked about less than perfect image recognition algorithms, but there are other limitations, and those limitations are due to the vision which is behind the algorithm. Filter bubbles, we talked about them. Well, honestly, I've read a lot of studies on filter bubbles, and all studies tend to show that they do not really exist, but that's another debate. Gender inequity, well, that's something which is for RTBF extremely important and that we try to tackle. Some people here do work in the insurance industry, I'm sure. You know that one very big trend is personalized insurance, using algorithms to adapt the pricing. One ethical question that you may ask yourself is whether or not the risk-sharing model that we have been using for dozens of years, of decades, is something that we want to protect, or whether we want more inequality by going to more personalized insurance. And last but not least, one example from Netflix that many of you do use. The commercial goals behind the algorithms are sometimes not ethical. Think about that quote from Neil Hunt. He is the CPO, Chief Product Officer of Netflix. And at the Rexis conference in 2014, he said, Netflix metrics cannot distinguish between an enriched life and addiction. What does it mean? Well, it means actually that the recommender system of Netflix do work very well. Actually, 80% of everything that is consumed on Netflix comes from algorithmic recommendation. Some people do consume like 10 hours of movies every day, but does that make them better citizens? Is that an enrichment of their lives? I don't know. And actually, Netflix recognizes that problem. So what do we make at RTBF, or what do we think we should make to transform the algorithms into more ethical ones? First of all, we should avoid discrimination. And discrimination is not only about the race or the color of the skin, it's also about minorities and marginalized groups. We should promote gender equity. Yeah? So we should not try to take the gender variable into account and promote techie content, for instance, only to male. That's unfair. Yeah? Last year, one of the topics of this conference was women in tech. When I look at this audience, well, I see many women, which is good, but I see too few of them. Third, we should open up the minds of our users. You all know the problem of the filter bubbles. If we use only the past history to predict the future, one of the problems that may arise is the filter bubble. So we are trying to develop and design algorithms that open up minds rather than trap people into their own bubbles. Fourth, we respect the right of not being tracked. So that's GDPR, of course, but we want to go, more far than that. And fifth point, we want to educate users on algorithms. And who better than a public broadcast can achieve that mission? So education is key. Three things that we want to do. First, we want to empower users. So we want to give them back the control on the algorithms that we are using on our web pages. It means, for instance, that we will foresee this year a switch on, switch off button on the algorithmically curated web pages of RTBF, so that people can decide whether or not they want our recommendation. We want to build knowledge. Yesterday I was shooting a broadcast at RTBF. It was a 45-minute broadcast on big data, because some of our users sent us questions about what we do with their data, so we felt the urge of answering their questions, and we showed the broadcast for that. And point three, that's the white model, the white boxes model that we talked about this morning with Philip Martins. We want to show what is in the algorithms. I have even some colleagues in Finland at YLE, which is the equivalent of RTBF. They let citizens audit their algorithms. So it means that people are allowed once a year to come to the data scientists of YLE in Finland and ask them explanations on what kind of variables they use, what they do with the data, and how it modifies their lives and their behaviors. This is a quote here, and what do they do that? Because, well, if you have nothing in place to audit the system, basically your system cannot be used. And this is a quote from Mark Rothenberg at the CPDP conference this year, who said, an algorithmic system that you cannot audit is a system that you cannot use. And I think this is very, very true. So what do we do concretely at RTBF? The design of our recommendation systems do follow ethical rules. Yeah? And what I'm talking here about one model that we chose to build the recommendation system, which is the deliberative democracy model. So it means that we have done proactively a work on which kind of model, which kind of vision of the society we want to promote. Something that is not always done. We do focus on serendipity, so it means that we want to break the filter bubbles, we want to open up the minds of people, we want to make them aware of the diversity in the society, we want to make them aware of gender inequity problems, we want to promote gender equity, we want to promote LGBT causes, we want to be the reflection, the mirror of the society. And very important, data scientists at RTBF are not left alone. So I spent quite a few months with university, with the other experts, writing functional specification describing exactly what data scientists are allowed to code and what they are not allowed to code. So there is a model, this deliberative democracy model, which kind of gives a framework to all that. And that model tries to promote 5 things. The first one is autonomy and choice, information quality and debate, respect of minorities and marginalized groups, gender equity, and real alternative viewpoints. GDPR and privacy. So obviously, this is something which is extremely important for us. We have only a few hundreds of days left before GDPR comes into force. So as I said, we are forcing a no recommendation compatibility, so switch on, switch off. If you do not want the recommendation, then will not get them. And we also want to promote privacy by design by using persona. So if someone doesn't want or wants the recommendation but doesn't want to be tracked, he's able or she will be able to put herself in the shoes of someone else and see the recommendation as someone else. So to conclude, I have 40 seconds, so I'm right on time. Algorithms are instrumental to build trust and to gain it. So don't misuse algorithms. Think about the model behind the algorithms to make sure that you are promoting trust. They are not neutral, so design them very carefully. And please design or try to have an idea about the model that you want to promote. So not only the commercial vision, but please a societal vision. And third point, educate user on the role of algorithm. 99.9% of people do not know what big data is, so they are not aware of what happens with the data. So we do have, and that's the good thing with that conference, we do have an education mission towards the people in the society. Thank you so much.